Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like the word taxi means exactly the same thing in every language around the world, we're going to use another word, football, in a world sense tonight. In the sense of most nations around the world, we're going to talk football as in soccer by bringing in two ladies from Greyhound women's soccer. In the American sense of football, we're bringing in two guys from Ty Hyatt's squad. I'll finish up with a football-themed overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound men's soccer lost a tough one in San Antonio. They will be in action against Dallas Baptist this weekend. Greyhound volleyball finally got their first conference win of the season on Saturday. They will be in action this weekend in San Antonio. And Greyhound cross country, the women coming off their victory a couple of weeks ago in the Invitational held by New Mexico Highlands. They're going to be running, and the guys as well, at a meet held by Midwestern State. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and I'll bring in my first guests, Sierra Villanueva and Kinsey Mitchell, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring to the set of Sportslook two members of the Greyhound women's soccer team. We've got Sarah Villanueva, we've got Kinsey Mitchell. Ladies, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you.
Well, Sierra, we'll start out with you. Where are you from, and what was the process that got you onto the team here at Eastern?
Okay, well, I'm from Aztec, New Mexico, so top left corner, about 15 miles from the Colorado border. I love to play soccer my whole life, so I guess during high school, that's when I started really being serious about wanting to play college soccer. I played club soccer in Albuquerque, traveled. Aztec's about 2.5 hours from Albuquerque, so I traveled to play club. And then when I was playing club at one of my showcases, that's when Coach Abby came and recruited me, and now I'm here at Eastern.
Very good. And Kinsey will ask you the same question.
I'm from Dallas, Texas, and the North Texas soccer is a pretty big thing. And so I actually committed to Eastern New Mexico when I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm a senior now. So that was 3 coaches ago here at Eastern. I committed with Spence, and yeah, I've just played soccer my entire life. Played club soccer, played high school, and here I am now.
Well, Sierra, I'll ask you the question. Was soccer your only sport, or did you play a couple and soccer just became the love of your life?
Oh, well, since I'm from a small town, usually they don't have a lot of athletes to go around, so I played pretty much the whole span of things. During high school, I was a 4-sport athlete, so I ran cross country and track, and then I played basketball and soccer, but soccer was my main sport ever since I was a little girl.
So were you a distance runner or were you a sprinter?
Definitely distance.
Definitely distance. Person after my own heart. I was the same way. Well, Kinsey will ask you the same question. Was soccer your only sport, or did you gradually gravitate to it?
Well, I started playing soccer when I was 4, and I've played it my entire life since. And I played pretty much everything in middle school and high school just because we didn't have soccer in middle school. So I ran track, cross country, basketball, volleyball. I did everything, but it's always been soccer.
Well, and Cheryl, I'll ask you, what is it's the most popular sport in the world, but in America, maybe not so much the case yet, but what was your love for soccer? Why do you enjoy it so much?
Well, I've been playing since I was 4 with Kinsey too, but one of the main reasons I love soccer is probably the relationship that I shared with my dad. My dad played college soccer, and then he played since he was young as well. So when I was little, I wanted to do whatever my dad wanted to do. And then gradually, as I got older, I found the love for my game, or the love for the game, as my dad did. So.
And Kinsey, I'll ask you the same question. What about soccer has kept your fascination all these years?
Mine's not as heartwarming as Sierra's, but I'm the only athlete in my family, so I just started playing and I just loved it. I think I like the creativity of it. It's different every game you play. Like, you have a different role in every position that you play on the field, and it's just exciting, and it drives me forward every day.
Sierra, you were recruited by Coach Barnum. What was it that was intriguing enough about her offer that got you to Eastern New Mexico University?
Well, I'm from New Mexico, so as you probably know, New Mexico schooling, we got to get a lot of opportunities with the scholarships that we have, like the lottery and then now the opportunity scholarship. And I'm paying for college independently, so that was one of the main options that I had was staying in New Mexico. Also, my grandparents are alumni from here, so it was just so intriguing to me that it was kind of a full circle moment coming here.
And Kinsey, I'm fascinated. I didn't realize that we had anybody still on the team that had been recruited by Coach Spence, a great guy who's only here for a year, if I remember correctly, before he went back to his alma mater at Midwestern. So you were recruited by him, played for Coach Barnum. Now you're playing for Coach Belcher. So let me ask you: is there something that all three of them had in common, or are they all really distinctively different coaches?
Um, I think that they're all very, very different coaches, especially in like the way that they communicate what they have to say. They also have very different views of soccer and how they want their team to play. Um, but I think overall, like each of their like love for soccer is something that I was able to relate to and played a role in why I'm still here, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And Sierra, I'll go back and ask you a question. What's different playing for Coach Belcher? What has changed?
I loved the way that Coach Abby she coached, but for Coach Belcher, I love how creative he is and how he focuses on different parts of the game, and he's very creative in how we act as teammates. For example, when we first came here, our first practices, he wanted us stretching with each other, running in partners, running in groups of threes, talking to each other about stuff other than soccer. And it's hard in collegiate sports especially, all you're thinking about is the sport all the time. So it was nice him coming in and actually thinking about us and thinking about who we are as people rather than just players. Because sometimes in NCAA, we're kind of seen as machines, but we're not. We're human.
Absolutely. And Kinsey, is there anything you could add to Sierra's very astute observation about Coach Belcher?
No, I think she said it perfectly. He also adds a sense of structure that we need. He definitely pushes all of us individually and as a collective to be better, to do better, and I think that's what we've needed for a while.
Well, we actually had an opportunity through the good offices of the Sports Information Department to get some footage of a recent match that you played against St. Mary's. So let's cue up the highlight reel, and if you ladies would please walk us through it. So is the strategy that Coach Barnum used the same strategy as Coach Belcher, or is there a different approach to how to advance the ball down the field?
I think it's pretty common in most coaches. They like to say that they are possession oriented and want to move the ball between the lines, pass it to each other, and then that final finish. But I think with what we do and how we practice and the formations that we play with Coach Belcher, that we're actually going to be able to accomplish it. Um, we're playing a lot more out of the back, like we just did right there, and that's Sierra actually driving up the line.
Adding on to Kinsey's with Coach Belcher, he kind of makes our possession style of play more simple instead of playing from the back line all the way down to the forwards. We're trying to play through the back line, playing the most simple pass as possible so it opens up more opportunities in the middle and in the forwards instead of forcing it up the line.
That's a good. I wish I had had that description before. I actually broadcast your first match of the season against Fort Lewis, and I'm sure people were listening. What? Now I understand.
He's definitely a component of getting numbers up in the box, um, which is helpful for attacking for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. So, Sierra, what would you say is your main skill? Are you better at passing or dribbling the ball up the field, or are you pretty good with a shot on goal?
I think my main skill isn't as technical. It's just I'm very hardworking. So any ball that's loose, any tackle I'm going into, I'm a really physical player as well. So I think my physicality is one of my big strengths as well. But just never giving up. I think that's a big thing that you need in every sport, but in soccer, especially in our team, especially right now, that's a big thing.
Oh, it's too bad you had an opportunity and unfortunately just were not able to get the ball into the net on that particular possession. Kinsey, let's ask you, what if I were the coach of Angelo State and I was preparing a scouting report on Eastern, what would I be saying about you?
Um, well, as the deepest player on the field, I play center back, so I'd say to be warned that I'll not be easy to get around. I'll defend and I'll defend with everything, and it's not going to be too easy to turn and face the goal if you have to be down my side.
I'm curious, in terms of the throw-in, do you have total control over where you're going to throw, or does Coach Belcher kind of suggest where he'd like you to throw towards?
Well, usually on throw-ins, the outside backs or the outside forwards take it, and he wants us to play to a player, probably at their feet, so they can trap it and distribute it, maybe pass it back to the person that threw it in, turn, dribble, shoot. But yeah, he wants us to play it at their feet.
Very good. Well, obviously, Lone Star Conference is a pretty tough conference. If you had to look at the season so far, Sierra, what personally has been the hype? And it doesn't even necessarily a match that ended in a tie or a win. I mean, it could be a loss, but against a really good team. What's been the high point of the season for you?
I think right now the high point of our season, for me personally, was us winning against TWU, Texas Women's. That was the first time we won against them, I think my coach said since 2017. But that was the first time for me personally, us having a conference win. My freshman year was last year, so it was my first season with the Greyhounds. And unfortunately, we didn't get a win in our conference last year. And being in one of the toughest conferences in Division Two, it was just a nice like pat on the back that we are doing well and we can compete with these teams.
Well, Kinsey, I'll ask you the same question. Would you say TWU, or is there a different match that you'd point to?
It's hard to top a win. It really is. I mean, obviously, we have two nationally ranked teams. We played Angelo State the other day. I think they were number 25 when we played them, and it was such a close game. And it's frustrating that we're like just weren't right there, but it's definitely something that's doable and just proves to us over and over that we are like here to compete. And like Sierra said, like the most competitive conference in D2.
And it's interesting, Angelo State, coached by another former Greyhound women's soccer coach, Travis McCorkle, who is one of my good friends when he was here. Well, ladies, pleasure to get to know you. Congratulations on the steps that you're taking under the new coach. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring in two guys from Greyhound football right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring to the set of Sportslook two guys from the Greyhound football squad. We've got Kevin McCracken and Isaiah Tate. And guys, welcome to Sportslook.
Appreciate you having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, Kevin, we'll start out with you. Where are you from, and what was the process that got you to the squad here at Eastern?
Yeah, I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. To be a little more specific, a little suburb called Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And the way I got onto Greyhound football is my coaches coming up from Yaffle played it here at Eastern, and my mom is an alumni here from the 70s. And so I always just wanted to become a Greyhound.
Excellent. Isaiah, we'll ask you the same question. Where are you from, and what got you here to Eastern?
I'm from San Diego, California, and I originally was going to junior college at San Diego Mesa College, and my recruiting process eventually brought me here in January of 2020, and then COVID happened, so I had to go back home, and then I came back here to play in 2021.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, was football your only sport, or did you play other ones and just gravitate to football?
Yeah, when I was younger, I originally started playing baseball. That was my first sport that I started playing. My dad was always a huge football fan, so he got me into football from an early age, about 8 years old, and then played pretty much only football up until high school, and I played a little bit of rugby in high school as well.
Excellent. Well, Isaiah, ask you the same question.
Likewise, ever since I was able to stand, I was always playing with a ball. I played football and basketball both at a very young age, and then I just eventually kept playing through year round and all the way up until high school. And then I eventually just chose one sport, obviously, when I came here.
Well, gentlemen, were you recruited? Kevin, we'll start with you first. Were you recruited by Coach Lee and then made the transition over to the Coach Hyatt era?
Correct. Yeah, I came in originally from the Lee era.
And what was it about the sales pitch of Kelly that made you want to play football? I get that you had the Eastern connection, but you know there had to be some inducement to play. What was it about his approach that got you?
Right. So originally, I was being recruited by Colorado State Pueblo, which is a pretty historically very good D2 program, if anybody knows them. And they kind of did me dirty in my recruiting process to keep it short and sweet. And Coach Lee kind of talked to me about how we could maybe do some revenge tour type stuff in the if we ever made the playoffs, the D2 playoffs. So that kind of hooked me in.
Excellent. And Isaiah, you came here during 2020. That was the Coach Lee still era. What was it about his sales pitch?
Yeah, I was a lead recruit. Unfortunately, I never got to play for him, but he promised me an opportunity to get on the field right away, so I just took it, ran with it.
Well, obviously, under new management, as the expression would go, is Greyhound football. And Kevin, what would you say about the management style of Coach Hyatt? What type of a coach is he?
Yeah, Coach Hyatt's definitely more of a new school type of coach, I'd say, compared to Kelly Lee especially. Coach Lee was definitely an old school coach, kept it real, gritty. And Coach Hyatt's looking to, I think, elevate us into a new age of football here at Eastern.
Excellent. And Isaiah, how would you describe him as a coach?
I like him as a coach, and I like his offense because that's what I grew up playing. I'm used to the spread offense and that type of stuff. I'd played the triple like when I was a little kid running around with big helmets. So I played that then, but I'm more of a spread type of player. So him coming in, I was really excited to learn the offense and get going.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, you actually had a football game last Saturday, not just any game, it was a homecoming game, and we had a crew from Sportslook that was out filming highlights. So we'll cue up the highlight reel and please walk us through it.
So we're here, we have a motion going through. We have Mario trying to make a play. It didn't go. And then we have like a little kind of like an outside zone kind of stretch play. Unfortunately, the backside, the defense made a play.
And we'll point out, Mario, not the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year. He has come in for Case and Martin.
Yeah, he has done a great job playing and stepping up and making plays for us.
So here, I'll take it over. A little defensive look. I'm playing tackle right here. Central Washington's running a little bit of an outside zone play, shut off the tackle, and run him out of bounds.
Absolutely. You would be number 91
Yes,
in case
correct.
people are curious.
Here I'm running down trying to make a block for Mario as he scrambles to get the first down. Here's a little play action. Mario throws it to Braze White and he makes a great catch in the end zone.
Also from San Diego, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir. Great kick here by Coop. He's one of the best kickers in D2, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Makes a great kick.
That would have been good from 55.
Yeah, right. Here's another stretch play. He has inside contain, so I just try to take his outside shoulder.
Kevin, I feel bad. We've got mostly offensive highlights here.
Mario scrambling out, making plays like he always does. Here we have a two-back set, kind of like another play action. Howard Russell running down the field and he makes a great catch.
Well, Kevin, obviously, homecoming is for fans. It's for the band. It's for the cheerleaders. A lot of things going on, but it's first and foremost a football game. What did the homecoming contest mean to you this year?
I mean, obviously, I say, like you said, homecoming's great for the fans and great for the school, great for all the other sports teams. But it's always nice to, know that football's at the center of it. And we always like to try and put on as much of a show as we can for homecoming.
And Isaiah, Kevin is from New Mexico and had a connection to Eastern, so he kind of had some sort of appreciation what this was going to be all about. How about for you? What is homecoming like for a person from Cali coming to Portales?
Yeah, it's always good to have a good amount of students and fans come out to the game. It's always good to see people in the stands cheering us on. So, and I feel like that makes us play a little better.
Kevin, I think I know the answer to this question, but I always ask because I may not know the answer to the question. If you had a look at the high point of the season so far, I think I know what you're going to say, but maybe it's not the game I'm thinking of. What do you think was the high point of the seasons for you guys so far?
I mean, especially talking from a defensive standpoint, I think our two best games were versus Midwestern versus Tarleton. Midwestern obviously is a real close game. A lot of people say we should have won, me included in that boat. And then for Tarleton playing versus a D1 FCS school, I think we really put on a show.
Absolutely. I was proud to be there broadcasting your game there in Stephenville. Isaiah, how about you? What do you think was the high point of the season from your standpoint?
Um, I would say our high point was the game we probably scored the most points, which is week 1 against Highlands. We were clicking on offense and we're practicing week by week and stacking the days to try to get back to there and put as much points on the board as we can.
And Kevin, obviously the season doesn't get any easier for you. You've got a trip to Angelo this weekend, Angelo number 3 in the nation, but that just means if you beat them, it's going to be even a sweeter victory.
Yeah, definitely. The great thing about college football is any team can go out there and win the game. At the end of the day, it could be ranked number 100, ranked number 3 in the country. It really doesn't matter. It's about who wants to really go out there and get it.
And Isaiah, what would you say is the minds from your perspective of the team as they prepare for Angelo?
Um, I'm sure over there at Angelo they have great coaches and great athletes, but I believe we have great coaches and great athletes here too. So if we put together a good a game plan, that anything can happen, like Craig said.
Uh, Kevin, there are people that get the headlines, like you when you make a lot of tackles, or Isaiah when he rushes for over 100 yards. But there's always an unsung hero. And if you had to look at your team so far and say there's one guy that may not ever get into a Go Eastern Athletics article that really is integral to your success, who's the unsung hero to you?
I would say it'd be more than just one person. I think it'd be the front 5 on the offensive line. It's a pretty selfless job, not a lot of things. So I would like to shout out those guys. I think they do a great job.
And Isaiah, I'll ask you the same question from your perspective. Who's the unsung hero?
Yeah, he stole my answer. I always want to give credit to the front 5. They don't get as much credit. The ball doesn't move and the play doesn't go without them. So they're the focal point of our offense, and then that's it.
I was laughing as you were saying that because I was a high school quarterback, and I said I had one offensive lineman who would block and 4 guys who would have been good matadors because they'd go ole. So I definitely know where you guys are coming from. Well, Kevin, obviously you are an athlete at Eastern New Mexico University, but you're a student athlete, and we put that word in front of athlete for a reason. What are you majoring in? And what do you hope to do with your degree?
I hope to one day open up my own business.
I any idea, or just when the inspiration strikes, that's what you're going to do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the entrepreneurship route. I have a couple of ideas, but I'll save them for the little pocket picks later on.
There you go. Isaiah, I'll ask you the same question. What are you majoring in?
Like Kevin, I also graduated just this past May in physical education with the emphasis of health and wellness. And I'm currently in my master's, and I plan to graduate with my master's in sports administration.
Interestingly enough, I had two sons. They both went to Eastern. One of them got a master's degree in sports administration. So, what do you hope to do with your MA?
I plan to get into coaching actually.
Level
Yeah,
or?
yes, sir.
Oh,
Mount Carmel High School.
okay, because I got my PhD from UC San Diego.
Oh,
so
really?
called San
Okay.
Diego home for 6 years.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
nice to talk to a guy about Cali here.
Of course.
Well, Kevin and Isaiah, a whole half of the season to go. You guys can still make some significant statements. So I wish you guys the best of luck.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Doc.
Yep.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. If you do a Google search on strangest quotes ever regarding football, near the top of the list will be one from Joe Theismann. Joe Theismann, of course, Heisman Trophy and Super Bowl winning quarterback, becoming a football TV analyst. And once Joe Theismann said, you should never call anybody associated with football a genius. A genius is a guy like Norman Einstein. Okay, Joe, you just proved the validity of your quote by what you said, but it turns out that maybe that wasn't as dumb a quote as it might at first appear to be, because a researcher found out that 2 years after Joe Theismann graduated from high school, the valedictorian at his high school was a kid named, you guessed it, Norman Einstein. But before you bombard Google and say you need to retract that dumbest quote statement, let's consider a few facts. First of all, that researcher found that out about Norman Einstein 15 years after Joe Theismann made the quote. During those 15 years, Joe Theismann never corrected the record, never said, I was actually referring to a real person. And think about it. Can you honestly tell me who the valedictorian of your high school class was, let alone somebody 2 years behind you? I think not. So probably that quote deserves to be right where it is on strangest quotes associated with football. Well, that will wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Sierra Villanueva and Kinsey Mitchell from Greyhound Women's Soccer, Isaiah Tate and Kevin McCracken from Greyhound Football. Had a floor crew. Tonight, my director was Logan. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.